Hey y'all, my name is Yvette and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a book haul. A very long overdue book haul of some of the books I've gotten this year in 2021. Not all of the books because I have truly gotten a lot of books this year and I don't want to go through all of them, but I'll go through like maybe, I think this is going to be like half, maybe a little bit less than half. The first category of books I'm going to be talking about is cookbooks, because something I learned about myself this year is that I really love cookbooks. I don't know how to cook, so these books are more aspirational than anything, but I just like holding cookbooks and like looking at them and flipping through them and looking at all the pretty pictures. Just owning cookbooks brings me a lot of joy. The first one I have is Mexican Ice Cream, Beloved Recipes and Stories by Fanny Gerson, and this is a Mexican ice cream cookbook. I've been planning on getting an ice cream machine for a while now, and as soon as I do, I'm gonna try some of these recipes. I actually got another cookbook by that author. It's a paleta cookbook, and that is the only cookbook that I have that I've actually used this year. Paletas are Mexican ice pops, and they're something that are super nostalgic to me because I have this vivid memory as a kid. I was at my grandparents' house and I was sitting outside and the paleta man went by, but like I'm a child, I don't have money, so I don't go and get ice cream. And then later on my grandma came outside and she saw me and she's like, "Why you look so sad? What's wrong with you?" And I'm just like, "The paleta man came by and I didn't have money, so I couldn't get any ice cream." And so she puts her two pinkies in her mouth and she whistles really loud and you could hear like the guy coming back, and I got my ice cream. So yeah, long story short, I really like paletas and I've made quite a few paletas from that book. The next cookbook I actually have here with me, and that is Tiki, Modern Tropical Cocktails by Shannon Mustipher. I got this one because if I am remembering correctly, the author is the first black woman or black person, first black mixologist to get their own drink cookbook, and I'm not entirely sure which first it is, but she is a first in some way, and I'll clarify in the description of what exactly that first is. So yeah, that is really cool, but also the pictures in this book are so good, and like all pictures in cookbooks are good, but like these are especially beautiful. Like look at that, it looks amazing. The next cookbook I got is Decolonize Your Diet, Plant-Based Mexican-American Recipes for Health and Healing by Luis Calvo and Catriona Reuda Esquivel. So I got this one because the authors are actually a queer couple, and I think it was Luz who got cancer, and when she got cancer they decided to change their entire diet to be healthier, and for them that meant decolonizing their diet, and that's what this cookbook is about. I've actually talked about this book on my channel before because I used to own it, but like it was a borrowed copy from my sister, and one day completely unprovoked she came into my room and took it back, so I had to get my own copy. I have two more cookbooks to talk about in this video, and I got them both after watching High on the Hog, which is a Netflix documentary. It's a food documentary about how African American cuisine has influenced American cuisine, and it's really good. I would highly recommend it. And the first book I got from there is Jubilee, Recipes from 2 Centuries of African American Cooking by Toni Tipton Martin. That documentary was just hours of people making delicious looking food, and it made me want to try making soul food myself maybe, and this book seemed like a good place to start. And the other book I got is from someone who appeared in the last episode of the documentary, and that is Black Girl Baking, Wholesome Recipes Inspired by a Soulful Upbringing by Jarrell Guy. On the documentary she had this gorgeous looking red velvet cake, and like flipping through this book, almost every single recipe is just like, ooh, I want that, ooh, I want that, and I'm just really excited to someday try one of these. This next batch of books I got because I was looking at my bookshelf and it was filling up, and I was realizing that I have a lot of books that I don't want anymore, and it's like either I have no desire to read them anymore or I just don't want to own them, and I'd rather own books that represent who I am as a reader today rather than the copy of Freakonomics I got back in 2008 and never read. So I decided to go on a buying spree of books with aggressively sapphic covers. And the first of those is Leather and Lace by Rebel Carter, and this is a Western romance by a Latinx author, and this is just an incredibly cheesy, unrealistic Western romance, and like that is all it's trying to be, and it's wonderful for that because like it's just the kind of book that makes you happy. The next one is Once Ghosted Twice Shy by Alyssa Cole, and this is a second chance romance in her Reluctant Royal series, and for me this wasn't a very memorable book. I mean, it's a really good book, it's just not something I think about, but this cover is something I think about, so that's why I got this. The next one is A Little Light Mischief by Cat Sebastian, and this is an FF novella in her Turner series, and like that whole series I love, and like Cat Sebastian is just one of my favorite authors. Her queer historical romance is just top tier for me, and this one is no exception. The next book is gonna be Whisper Me a Love Song, and this is an FF manga that is the lightest of light comfort reads. Like, I rated this 5 stars based on how much it made me smile alone. This is just an incredibly adorable and sweet story. The next one is going to be The Care and Feeding of Waspish Widows by Olivia Waite, and this is a historical romance involving a beekeeper, and it's really good. To be honest, I don't remember much about it now, but I remember really liking it when I read it. And finally, the last book in this batch is going to be Being Hospitable by Micah James, and this is an erotic romance that is forced proximity, my best friend's little sister roommates kind of romance. This cover doesn't look as like immediately sapphic as some of the other books I've talked about do, like with the 2 women in the classic romance pose, but I don't know, something about this cover still feels sapphic to me. The next batch of books I'm going to be talking about are books that I have pre-ordered in 2021, and I did not realize I had ordered this many physical books. Like, it's from my lap to like right here, the stack. It is truly a ridiculous amount of books. I'm going to be talking about these books in no particular order, just the order they are in my lap, and the first one is going to be The Hellions Waltz by Olivia Waite. This is the 3rd book in an FF historical romance series, and I really like this. It's about the romance between a piano player and a weaver, but it's also more about class and unionizing and doing crime against the higher classes, which is something we can all support. This next book is actually a gifted pre-order, so this was a surprise to randomly get in the mail, but it was a very good surprise, and it is Our Mind World: Poetics in Resistance in Guatemala. And I believe this is a non-fiction book about the evolution of indigenous Guatemalan literature and poetry. And after that, I have another gifted pre-order, and that is The Return of the Sorceress by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This was a birthday gift for my friend Kara over at the Wild Book Garden, and on top of it being a pre-order, on top of it being Silvia Moreno Garcia, this is also a signed limited edition version of this book, and I think this is one of the most thoughtful book gifts I've ever gotten. I've read this book, and to no one's surprise at all, I really liked it. The next book I pre-ordered was She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan, and this is a queer historical fiction book that is just amazing. I read it, I think I rated it 5 stars, and it's just one of those books that is just so flawlessly good. The next one is going to be Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, and I believe that this is a Dracula reimagining that is queer, and it's focused on one of the brides of Dracula. I haven't read this book yet, but I've heard very good things about it. The next book I pre-ordered was After the Dragons by Cynthia Zhang, and all I know about this book is that it takes place in Beijing, it's about dragons, and it's queer. And like, I have very simple taste. That's pretty much all I need to know to want to pre-order a book. The next one is going to be Prize Money by Celeste Castro, and this is an FF romance in like a rodeo setting. I believe it's a romance between a barrel racer and a stunt woman. As someone who grew up going to the Houston rodeo, this sounds amazing. The next book I pre-ordered is 1500 Miles from the Sun by Johnny Garza Villa, and this is a queer YA Latinx contemporary that has gotten a lot of love in my corner of the book internet, and I know I'm gonna love this book. I just have to finally get around to reading it. Another book I pre-ordered is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Niveau, and this is a Great Gatsby retelling where Jordan Baker is a queer Vietnamese adoptee who has paper cutting magic. So I am not familiar at all with The Great Gatsby. I have not read it, I have not watched the movie, and I really have no interest in reading or watching it, but I really love this. The prose in this book is absolutely gorgeous, and I love Jordan as a character, and just all around, this is a really good book. The next book I got is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Shori, and upon getting this book, I was really surprised at how big this book is, because like height and width, it's humongous, but also it's super thick. I feel like this book is bigger than my head. But yeah, this is a queer Indian historical fantasy by an author who I love, and I really like this as well. Getting towards the end here, another book that I pre-ordered is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers, and this is a queer contemporary about a girl who has just finished her PhD and she's feeling really lost and burned out, so her and her friends go to Vegas and she gets drunk and she gets married drunk. This book wasn't exactly what I was expecting from the wake up married in Vegas trope, but it was still really good. And finally, last but certainly not least, is How to Catch a Princess by Alyssa Cole. This is a sapphic romance that is a queer Anastasia retelling, and it's really good. I mean, it's Alyssa Cole. I will read an Alyssa Cole romance any day, and God bless her for giving us these amazing covers. I have one more batch of books to talk about. There are just 2 of them that I got at Houston's Juneteenth festival. There were 2 booths there, both by separate Black-owned independent bookstores, and I got one from each. The first one I got from a store called Class, and that is Ring Shout by PJ Clark. And this is a historical fantasy about how when you would watch The Birth of a Nation, it turned you into an actual monster and the main characters are fighting them. I feel like that is an incredibly dumbed down summary of what this book is about and not really doing it justice, because this is a really incredible book. And the second book I got from the Kindred bookstore, and that is Dear Centurion, a Black Spirit memoir by Akweke Emezi. Akweke Emezi is one of my favorite authors, and whenever I go into one of their books, I know I'm going to have an amazing reading experience, and this book managed to live up to my incredibly high expectations I had of it. They just never disappoint, and I'm probably going to read and buy everything that they publish. So that is going to be it for today's video. These were just some of the books that I've gotten in 2021, and if you read some of these, tell me what you thought about them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.